Let's talk about vampires. I scare easily. We got the deepest look into the upcoming open world vampire RPG, Blood of the Dawnwalker, with the gameplay reveal as well as much longer live stream that covered everything from if you can bang people, yes, 3 of them, and how much blood sucking you'll be doing. Oh yeah, and you can set people's blood on fire, if that's what you like to do.
And now let's cast Burning Blood. It's a hex which boils the enemy's blood and burns their skin, dealing physical damage over time.
Or just, you know, more like down to earth, decapitate them.
Let's use the final activation charge to cast the Artery attack, which actually decapitated the last opponent.
All while carving little runes into your skin. It's not dark and creepy at all. Blood of the Dawnwalker is an upcoming fantasy RPG in development from former CD Projekt Red developers who had left to create their own studio, Rebel Wolves. It looks to bring vampires back into the RPG space in a way that few games have since Vampire the Masquerade, but it's doing it with a set protagonist and a very, very, very familiar presentation. To call this game Witcher 3 with vampires is reductive. It's also feeling very true, in a good way, but very true. Let's break down the latest from the 20 minutes of gameplay and the longer stream that we got recently so we can kind of get a feel for what this game is going to be like coming in 2026. The visuals we saw, even for a pre-beta build, which this was, were pretty stunning. Incredible vistas, even the freaking fur on Cohen's little vest thingy, and the fullness you expect from CD Projekt Red devs. Witcher 3 nailed the feel of a forest, making it feel very, very full, and it did it more than any other RPG I've played. And it seems like Rebel Wolves are carrying over those lessons. The bit of the city and the cathedral we got to see were also extremely evocative as well as beautifully designed. They also mentioned early on that anything you can see, you can travel to. Now I'm a bit skeptical of this largely because the mountains in the far distance there, they seem both very far away and almost painted, like a painted background. But if it's substantial open world exploration, I'm not gonna complain. NPCs feel alive, talking, moving about, like little events playing out like police banging on doors.
And here we can see guards pounding on some poor guy's doors.
What is it about?
Singing songs that mocked him and the faith.
Who told you this nonsense? Was it Livia?
Open the door.
It's just one of many different community scenes we're implementing in the game. Watch them closely when you play, as they might point you to new quests and hidden treasures, or signal changes in the game's world.
You know, don't let them in. The presentation of this, I think, is what was best, except one thing that we'll get to here at the end. Movement looks pretty standard for what you'd expect for a game like Witcher 3, with over-the-shoulder third person. But, I mean, obviously not like the insanity of walking around in the game, because who would ever choose to just walk in a game when you can run? Unless you're an escort NPC. Freaking like, hey, these things are gonna kill me. Can you escort me to the safely place? Okay, I will take a leisurely stroll and you'll just walk with me. You won't be able to walk exactly the same pace as me, but we won't run either from the threat of danger and decapitation. Anyway, moving on. It's when the game turns to night that things change. We see some real freedom of movement with shadow walking, which is basically jumping from roof to roof by targeting where you want to go and like porting forward. As well as something that I thought was really freaking cool, which was basically wall walking. It particularly tickled me, something I didn't know existed. Maybe it's all those years of being absolute shit at playing the floor is lava. The fuck are you gonna do, Timothy? I can climb on the walls now. But it's cool. It's a cool looking thing. I really like how it kind of subverts the way the game feels when you can walk on freaking walls. And there's something cooler about like walking on the wall instead of climbing. you know? Now that said, I did notice on a second watch through of the gameplay that the movement at times felt a little bit stiff or a little bit delayed, perhaps due to the time being required to animate things like shadow step. But this is primarily something that I imagine I'll get over as I start playing, and I probably won't even notice it more as a nitpicky thing. But this is a vampire game, so we have to talk about the sucking. That's how my friend BB talked about it anyway. Well,
I mean, I think we were saying that we're expecting a lot of like vampire, you know, sucking and all that.
what?
Right?
What? BB.
Isn't that what vampires do? They suck all the time. So, you know, hi AP. I'm if I don't see no sucking happening, is this even a vampire game? That's all I'm saying, bro.
Okay, that's it. What good is a vampire game without a lot of sucking? You can find BBansky over on Twitch, twitch.tv/BBansky. I'll link him down below if you want to ask him all about why that's how he talks about vampires. Dawnwalker looks to be putting a whole heap of mechanics into the playing as a vampire bit. First, and the most daunting, you need to drink blood to maximize your health pool at night. Otherwise, it will gradually regenerate, but only to a certain point. It will be capped below your maximum health. How you do this seems to have a lot of choice. You can suck the blood of humans, animals, or even vampires. They didn't say exactly what kind of things happen if you suck the blood of vampires, but it seems like humans are the most satiating source. Because we're just so fucking tasty, I guess. And you'll be given the option of drinking just a teeny bit of blood or sucking them dry. Fucking hell, it does sound sexual, doesn't it? If you take every last bit of blood, helpfully indicated by the big ass skull on their blood bar, you kill them. Or you can choose to simply knock them out. These choices can go out of your control though, so there's a good reason to keep yourself well stocked with your favorite bloody juice box, because not drinking enough can send you into a blood craze, which they've warned could cause you to murder people you otherwise wouldn't want to. And yes, you can do this to important NPCs in the game, but they assure us that you'll know what those important NPCs are. I can totally see people doing blood craze runs on this already. Can't you? Combat, like movement, is split between two distinct areas of the game, day and night. Covering the daytime first because, quite honestly, it looked best. It's a bit like Witcher 3 and KCD had a baby, as you'll be doing third-person combat that's enhanced through magic, just like the Witcher 3 sigils, but adding in directional combat like KCD. Something I am personally absolute shit at. But the devs assured me specifically, just me and my terrible gameplay skills, that you will be able still to play this game for the story if you're ass. If you're absolute ass at the game. But still, if you want a challenge, there will be the ability to take on the challenge. You'll be using directional aiming both when defending, parrying, as well as attacking, though it seems pretty obvious when and how to do this in the combat we've seen. Big overhead swing as indicated by the shield icon here, the arrow, and the giant, overhead swing animation from the enemy, which is it's kind of coming in kind of slow. All things considered, at least when being attacked by 3 different enemies. Parrying and attacking from the right direction will be useful as it fills in your activation abilities, letting you throw pocket sand at your enemies. Cohen will carve runes into his skin to use magic during the daytime, but won't be able to at night as a vampire. I guess there's just a little bit of performance anxiety when you're dealing with bloodthirst and sucking. But essentially what it comes down to is this idea that you're carving the runes in your skin, and as a vampire you have this healing ability, right? So you can't really have these wounds in your skin because you're healing them. That's generally the way that they explained it anyway. And that brings us to vampire combat, which actually, completely honestly, looked a bit worse. What we saw was a very short little bit of you getting your ass kicked, and I came away unimpressed. In vampiric form, you can use your claws, and the visual of it just looks quite a bit worse, a little bit less polished. And even the swordplay from before needed polish, but still, something felt off. But the bigger concern came from the actual boss fight itself, which for lack of a better word for it, looked very dull. I think this is in part because they chose this time to showcase that you can make dumb mistakes and go fight things you shouldn't be fighting yet. But it also showcased a rather dull looking blood whip attack and what seemed to be a lack of recoil from attacks, perhaps due to the shielding on the boss, because again, the boss is like a much more powerful thing than you should be fighting at this time, and you chose to go to this cathedral at night and thus made a mistake that ended up with you going, well, pop and into like a fine mist of blood.
Blood skill that you've seen in the CGI trailer. So if we don't hurry, the timer goes down to 0 and Cohen will eventually explode. And we're dead. Remember, we were only mid-game here, and Xanthi is one of the game's most punishing enemies. Defeating her right here and right now is very much possible, but it would be hellishly difficult. A fun challenge for hardcore players.
And it was mentioned that you can use a sword as a vampire too. So maybe if you don't like the claws, you can go wield a sword. Why did I struggle to remember that word? That said, all this good, everything else is very heavily hampered by one thing that I couldn't help watching through the entire stream and through the entire second watch through I did of this. It's all hampered by this incredibly close field of view. You feel so close to Cohen. You feel too close where you can't really get a good gauge on things. And I really hope that this is something that they have generous options for in the game, to not have such a close FOV and let you kind of pick being further back. I don't think this is a game that needs an intense FOV to keep like this fear of being jumped out on or something. This isn't necessarily a horror game, even though it's dealing with horror themes. It's an RPG. The other part was the motion blur on literally everything. All the things had motion blur. Like, this is what it looks like in the motion blur. Just everything moving all the time. And I hope that's another thing that you can turn the fuck off, because just let us turn off that blur and let us have a larger FOV. Moving on, what wasn't shown in the gameplay but was confirmed with the Q&A is that the game will include 3 romance options, which will have implication on Cohen's personal story. So yes, you can bang. It sounds like they're going to be going for more of a deeply personal thing with these romances rather than some huge narrative plot point, as it was mentioned that not only are there 3 options, but those options are completely optional. And just as a reminder to everybody, optional means you don't have to do it, and you don't have to go cry on Twitter. Just throwing that out there. But it's okay that options exist. One other little tidbit in this that I really liked was getting to see another race in the world called the Uriash, a devilish goat-like looking creature that adds a touch more fantasy to the world beyond its vampiric horror vibes. I don't know about you, but it made me curious as hell to know more about them. And in some like concept art that we saw earlier, and in the reveals, we learned that these people, the Uriash, are from like the higher mountainous regions. Now, this last thing that I want to highlight here, though, of the actual gameplay, I'm just going to give you a quick clip of, because it's all about the performance and the acting that we saw in the game, because it looks fantastic. And this is something really super important to me. To make like a personal connection with an RPG, the writing, the dialogue, the performance, the voice acting, all of that stuff is super important to me. So seeing this little tidbit here has me really hopeful that this game will deliver. Just take a look and a listen.
Don't I know you from somewhere, young man? Laslia, maybe?
I'm sorry, but you must be mistaken.
Am I? Perhaps. My memory isn't what it used to be. Come with me. I'll take your confession.
Thank you, but I have no need for confession.
Ah, so you deem your conscience clear?
I wouldn't go that far. But I'm sure you're a busy man, Father. So while I appreciate the offer, I feel that my soul shouldn't be your priority.
I won't press the matter. You are quite correct. I have many other duties to attend to. But please remember that in order to be saved, we all need to repent. Myself included. I hope we can speak again soon. Good day to you, Cohen.
Okay, I said last thing, but one last thing, and this is not about the game, but holy shit, they know at Rebel Wolves how to do an incredible live stream. I mean, they always do it in 720p, which I don't know how they do that. When they go through so much cinematography, they had a full-on, like, real live-action sword fight in this. They had a concert in this live stream, a second concert, because they did it in the first one too. They did it over all these like gorgeous grounds that were creepy and cool, and they had the devs talking about the game by doing it in this kind of conversational way. Well done to Rebel Fools for that, because I was really engaged throughout the entire thing. Normally, like, I mean, you see the gameplay and you drop off. But I was in it. I thought this was such a cool thing that they've done in both of these streams, that they've found a way to do this in a really engaging way. So just my little kudos to them. And if you haven't seen the full stream yet, I definitely recommend checking it out. At the very least, check out the concert, which I'll link below. Overall, the gameplay reveal, I think, was a really great showing for the game's potential. It was undeniably beautiful, and some of the biggest issues like the field of view and blur are hopefully as simple to fix as player-controlled options. Other things like the combat looking and feeling better in human form than vampiric form could come with polish before release. Things that already stand out, like the NPC interactions making the world feel alive, an intriguing vampiric story full of choices, a beautiful world, all that stuff already seems to be there and has me more excited. The big part of this is after watching this, I am more excited about the game than I was before, and that's always a great thing when you see more of a game and you want it more. Just the more you see, just it sounds basic, but it's true. Blood of the Dawnwalker is still pegged for a 2026 release date, adding to a growing list of 2026 games to get excited about, including Fable, Exodus, as well as potential breakouts like Alcahest, Arcade Chronicles, and Asher Steel, or less RPG-like games like Star Wars' take on the XCOM's formula, and of course some little tiny game that has to deal with like stealing cars or some shit. It's like the 6th version of it. I don't know. But not to be outdone, there's still some great RPGs to come in the rest of 2025. And you can see that in this video right here. I just, you know, they have timestamps on there and you could just skip right past the the first one on there that has to do with vampires. You could just skip ahead, I think. Yeah.